Hello, good evening. Welcome to Look North. Our top story tonight. Calls for more women to get cancer screenings as nearly a third in our region fail to book a test.
If your letter's dropped through on the door on the floor today, pick up the phone and just ring, go for your appointment. Your life is worth it.
We'll hear one cancer survivor story. Also tonight, will new rules for voters be a barrier to the ballot box? Officials at one Yorkshire council say they want the policy scrapped. How virtual reality is helping to get more train drivers onto the railways after a huge backlog. And we'll meet the wheelchair rugby star who's called the final whistle on his playing career.
A bright and breezy day to come tomorrow with some sunshine, but what about later in the week and into the weekend? Join me for the detailed forecast.
Hello, thanks for your company. A question for the women across our region. When was your last smear test? It's something many of us dread, isn't it? And we try put it off, but we are being urged to book cancer screenings as official figures reveal that too many are missing what could be life-saving tests. Take a look at some of these statistics. According to the NHS, just 3 in 10 women under 50 failed to book cervical screening appointments last year. Around a quarter of women aged 50 and above aren't up to date with their smear tests. Cervical cancer is the 11th most common cancer in women in England, and it's the 2nd most common cancer amongst women under 35. Olivia Richwald has been to meet one woman who was diagnosed after missing her screening during COVID.
I'm the glue that holds my family together. I'm the mum. I've got a 15-year-old, 12-year-old and a 6-year-old. I just had to pull myself together and pretend everything were okay.
Claire Stewart was 34 when she was diagnosed with cervical cancer. She had ignored letters asking her to go for a smear test for 2 years.
And it was just as COVID were happening, so at that time it were all over the news with COVID going on. So I just thought, well, put that to one side. There were other things going on. I had no symptoms, no worries. All my other smear tests were up to date. There'd never been any issues, so I wasn't worried.
Claire also ignored a reminder, but when she developed bleeding between periods and pelvic pain, she was told it was stage 1 cancer. Claire had a hysterectomy and has now recovered. She runs group art classes for others dealing with cancer.
Setting up a group like this is just somewhere that people that are going through, any kind of cancer, not just cervical cancer, it may be breast cancer, any type, they're welcome.
To see how the ladies feel about her as well, like when they'll say, I love our little family and stuff like that, like it's just amazing. It's an overwhelming feeling. Couldn't be prouder of her.
Smear tests check for the HPV virus, which causes most cervical cancers. Younger women are invited every 3 years and those aged 50 to 64 every 5 years. The tests and treatment can prevent cancer from developing, but if it does, here are some of the symptoms.
Any abnormal bleeding for you as a person, you might have any changes in vaginal discharge, anything that's not normal for you. You might experience pain or discomfort during sex. And then one of the slightly rarer symptoms is unexplained pain in your lower back.
What would you say, Claire, to people who have had their letter asking them for a smear test and haven't booked one?
If that letter comes through, please, you might have a busy life, you might be a mum like I am and you put your kids first. You've got to look after yourself. It's a little bit of embarrassment, but please, just go get it done.
Hopefully that's prompted someone out there to get their test booked in. Now, did you know that to vote at the polling station in the local elections this May, you're going to need photo ID like a passport or a driving licence? Well, this has prompted much debate and one of our councils is calling for the policy not to be implemented. Here's our political editor, James Vincent.
If you're looking for pictures of polling stations, the Look North archive has got you covered. There's town halls, football clubs, restaurants, scout huts. Oh, I know that one. But the pictures you'll need next polling day.
A review like this, this and this. All voters will need photo ID at the ballot box in May. You won't be able to cast a vote without it.
The way we vote is changing. You now need to bring ID.
The publicity campaign to tell everybody about the changes has started, but some people are worried about how much it costs to get a passport or driving licence, and the fact that people might just forget it when they nip out to fulfil their democratic right.
It's coming in. Is it a good idea or not?
You're going to probably deprive hundreds or thousands of people across the country from a vote that they want to make because they'll get to the polling station, either not realise they need ID or have forgotten it and left it at home.
The government says we cannot be complacent when it comes to ensuring our democracy remains secure, and everybody eligible to vote will have the opportunity to do so, and 98% of electors already have an accepted form of identification.
That the number of votes cast for each candidate...
If you don't have ID, you can apply for a free voter authority certificate. There is a pretty wide range of ID that is accepted, but there are some omissions.
But for example, a student card showing who a young person is won't be accepted, but a pensioner's travel pass will be. It looks very skewed, and the worry is it will, in the end, be certain groups of people, probably younger people who haven't got a driving licence, their student pass won't be accepted, who are going to be discriminated against.
You won't need photo ID if you're registered for a postal vote, but if you're off to the ballot box...
We'll all have to get used to having one of these on us every time we vote. James Vincent, BBC Look North.
You're watching Wednesday's Look North, still to come on tonight's programme. After 30 years in the BBC, we're waving goodbye to our Tanya. Join us for a look back at her highlights, including lots of Look North memories that you may remember too. Now, this weekend, there's going to be a demonstration in support of the NHS outside Bassett Law Hospital in Worksop. It's been organised by Dr. Simon Taylor. He's a GP who lives in the area. Now, he says his colleagues are beyond burnout. He's asked the local MP, Brendan Clark-Smith, to have a public meeting to discuss the future of the health service. But the MP has said in an email to the BBC that Dr. Taylor is a fraud and his demonstration is a political stunt. Tom Ingle has more.
Dr. Simon Taylor is a GP in Gainsborough, but he lives across the other side of the River Trent in Bassett Law. He's a Labour Party activist and has appeared in campaign videos for their MPs. He's worried about the future of the NHS.
We need to raise public awareness of the state of things. We also need to give some moral encouragement and support to colleagues who perhaps don't feel as able to raise their voices. I know that colleagues are hanging on by their fingernails. They're beyond burnout.
Last week, during his lunch hour, he travelled to Worksop and performed a resuscitation drill outside the office of Brendan Clark-Smith, the Bassett Law MP.
Just spent a frustrating 3 hours or so waiting for the MP, Brendan Clark-Smith.
And then he went down to London to try and speak to him in person.
About the collapse of the NHS in his constituency, Bassett Law.
He also wrote on Twitter, "We all remember the tragic loss of Sir David Amess and Joe Cox. To avoid causing any possible alarm to the delicate flowers at Mr. Clark-Smith's office, I won't be doing any more demos there, for now." In an email that Brendan Clark-Smith has sent to Look North today, he says, if you really want to help, he'd suggest getting back to work and seeing some patients.
That's a predictably patronising remark from Mr. Clark-Smith. I'm actually on call now and I've literally nipped out for 5 minutes. My phone's in my pocket in case I get called away. At no point have I taken any time away from my patients to mount this protest. At no point have I sacrificed the care of my patients. This is all about patient care. I'm multitasking. Maybe Mr. Clark-Smith should learn how to multitask.
Mr. Clark-Smith has emailed the BBC today to say the NHS doesn't need cheap party political stunts. He's proud of Bassett Law NHS staff. The trust is dealing with demand very well, and Mr. Taylor is a fraud. Undeterred, the GP's next demonstration is outside Bassett Law Hospital this coming Saturday morning. Tom Ingle, BBC Look North, Bassett Law.
Let's take a brief look at some other stories now. West Yorkshire MP says TransPennine Express should be stripped of the franchise when the current contract ends in May if they can't get to grips with service. At Prime Minister's Question Time today, Conservative MP for Colne Valley, Jason McCartney, spoke about the misery of commuters caused by dozens of daily rail service cancellations. Rishi Sunak agreed it was unacceptable and said there's a plan if things don't improve.
Enough is enough. If TransPennine Express don't get to grips with this, we need to strip them of the franchise and get somebody in who will deliver the reliable rail services for my constituents.
There are currently discussions about that new contract. If ministers conclude that the operator cannot be turned around, then other decisions may be made.
A court has been hearing how a former Sheffield MP accused of fraud was non-existent in his constituency office and attended a staff meeting on some sort of substance. Jared O'Mara, who represented Sheffield Hallam, is accused of making fraudulent expenses claims totalling nearly £30,000. Mr O'Mara denies 8 counts of fraud and the trial continues. Now, the recent disruption and chaos on the rails has been blamed by operating companies like Northern and TransPennine Express on a lack of drivers. They say it's been partly caused by restrictions during the pandemic. So, what are they doing to fix the problem? Well, Northern are training more up, which can take up to 2 years. Gemma Dillon has been finding out how they do it.
As a train driving through the section.
These new recruits are being put through their paces in Leeds, including Gemma, who used to work for the police.
I knew it was going to be difficult. I don't think I quite realised how much it was going to be in such a short period of time. And I think the thing that shocked me the most is the amount of classroom and rules learning before you actually get anywhere near a train. My 13 years experience as a detention officer has actually helped and will help going forward to this career.
These recruits have a long road ahead. It will be another 12 months before they fully qualify. And new technologies like these headsets are being developed to help speed the process up. Training new recruits during the pandemic was difficult because of the restrictions in place. But thanks to technology like this, it's meant they can experience being trackside without leaving the classroom.
The immersive reality, which is 360 images of the underside of trains and inside train cabs, allows the trainees to look inside the train while sat in the classroom in a safe environment and get that familiarity before we take them out on depot. And that essentially sped up the process when we do take them to depot. They're getting more time doing the practical training.
Politicians have grilled train bosses over rail disruption in recent months. Northern pointed to the pandemic for causing a training backlog, but they already had a problem. A new timetable and new trains in 2018 already meant they didn't have enough qualified drivers. Chief Operating Officer Tricia Williams is confident they can now run a full timetable.
The issue that we took into the pandemic was the 100 new trains that we introduced into service. So those 100 trains needed training for our drivers and our conductors. So unfortunately, we went into COVID with a training backlog as a result of those new trains. Where we are right now, we've got enough fully trained to operate the timetable that we've gone to very recently.
So Tricia and her team at Northern are confident they can deliver the service passengers deserve and say they have a rolling recruitment process in place to ensure that will be the case in the future. Gemma Dillon, BBC Look North, Leeds.
Tanya is here now with her very last sports roundup for us here at Look North. Tanya, it is the end of an era.
I know I don't even normally work on a Wednesday, and here I am for the very last time. A group that campaigns for safer and more accessible cycling in York is launching a manifesto to improve transport. The York Cycle campaign's 42 Ways to Transform York is being launched at a public event this evening. There'll be discussion time to hear everyone's suggestions on how to make transport better in the city.
The idea is that it's a manifesto for a better York, and it's mostly about cycling, but not entirely. And it's to show how if we put cycling at the forefront and front and centre of our plans for the city, then we can all live healthier, happier lives.
The Sheffield Hatters basketball team are taking on the same naming sponsor as the Sharks as they move closer together. Both will play at the new arena that's being built on the Olympic legacy path, and both will have B. Braun ahead of their names. They hope to be in their new home next season. It looks good, doesn't it? Now, James Simpson has been one of the pivotal figures in transforming wheelchair rugby league. He's been a player who turned Leeds Rhinos into a winning machine. Then he was part of that World Cup winning England squad. He's calling it quits on his playing career to coach the Rhinos, and earlier he told me why.
I think it's because I'm in my prime that I want to move on to some fresh challenges and kind of take over the reins as coach. Last year we won the Challenge Cup, won the World Cup and went out on a massive high, so I feel like now's the stage for me to get some new challenges and to test myself in a new environment, and that's going to be coaching the team and hopefully aspiring to coach internationally at some point as well.
Just take us back to when you first started with the Rhinos. They weren't winning anything, were they? And now you've won so many trophies with them.
3 years we had, and we lost every game. The same team we've got now, give or take 1 or 2 players, we lost every game for 3 years, and we slowly built up and started chipping away at the top teams, and then it all kind of came to a head in 2018 when we won our first grand final. And then every year since then we've managed to win a trophy, and yeah, it's been a great journey for the team, but it's what made us so special is we went through all that hardship.
And that World Cup, it was incredible. I will never forget the scenes at the final whistle when everybody piled in. You were all in tears. I remember trying to grab you for the radio. I mean, when you watch those back, is it like it was yesterday?
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever forget this moment, and like you can see the emotion. Like Jack won into 2008, the first World Cup, so then to go that length of time without winning, it meant a lot to him. And some of us have been chipping away at the French for a long time, and it shows you 2 powerhouse teams. We came together and it was even pretty much all the way through, and that's England-France, but beating them by a whisper. We knew it was going to be tight, we knew we were going to win by 2 or 4 points, and just look at it, just look at the players. And it kept setting us off again. Every time you'd hug someone else, you'd burst into tears. Every time someone congratulated you, you'd burst into tears. And yeah, it's an amazing moment, and it's incredible. Like looking back now, I'm just like yeah, I'll remember that forever.
And what it's done for your sport. You must be so proud of that as an ambassador for it as well.
Yeah, I did a thing at Headingley yesterday, and I said to the crowd, there's about 120 people, put your hand up if you've seen a wheelchair rugby league game, and everyone put their hand up. And I said if that was a year ago, maybe 15 of you, 20 of you might have put your hand up, and it's really propelled our game into a whole new level.
And for you, the first time I think you came into this TV studio, you'd landed from Australia, you'd had no sleep, you were good enough to come in and talk about an Ashes win. And today you've been followed in by your own camera crew. Life has changed for you, young man.
Yeah, it's been weird, and I'm kind of a reluctant ambassador because I don't worry about myself. We've got the documentary crew following us now who are going to follow the team through the year. Do you know the Rhinos team? So hopefully we'll show them some amazing behind-the-scenes stuff. And that 2019 Australia, I think I was stood in exactly this spot as well. And yeah, I was pretty jet-lagged. I did radio first, then came in, and that was a massive turning point for me in the game, really. That's where we started getting bigger and we started getting on TV and people recognising us.
Well, many congratulations on a fabulous career.
Thanks, Tanya. I appreciate it.
Not a bad final interview with James Simpson. Legend.
Absolutely. And so are you. Come take a seat. 30
dreading
years
this.
working for us here at BBC Yorkshire. We couldn't let you go quietly, Tanya.
Go on then.
It's safe to say, isn't it, that when you started here, there weren't many women reporting or presenting in sport.
Very few.
So you have been a real role model for so many, and you've been such a huge part of the Look North family. Not only have you covered different sports, but you've really raised the profile of women's sport, in particular rugby league, and you've given a voice to athletes. You've allowed them to tell their stories. So there are a few people, Tanya, who would like to say thank you and very good luck. Take a look at this.
Thanks, Ben. Well, now let's have some sports, shall we? And a big night for our Tanya ahead, her first studio broadcast, and I think we well remember ours. Mine was a complete disaster.
Mine was a complete surprise.
So I think we've put you nicely at ease, Tanya.
Can I leave now?
No, do it first.
Right, here goes then. It's more concentration than I've ever put in a long time. Everyone's geared up. We're ready to go. The great British sport of camping at one with the great outdoors. Who else could it be? It's the Chuckle Brothers. How are we, gentlemen?
Hello.
It all set up for me, so here I go. You ready, guys? Hi.
All
Do I get the job?
Oh yes, definitely.
There you go.
Hi Tanya, just want to wish you all the best in the next chapter of your career.
Good luck, Tanya, for your last day at Look North today.
Right here, right now, it's all about the women.
All the best, Tanya, for the future. You've been an absolute champion for the women's game. Without the backing of people like you, the game wouldn't have progressed as much as it is.
To start their warm-up, the Australians are already...
I just want to say a massive thank you for everything you've done for us, female athletes, female fighters.
From all the players and fans involved, thank you very much.
Hello and welcome to Wembley Stadium.
You've always been fantastic with me every time you've interviewed me, and good luck with the future, and I hope you have a fantastic day today.
On behalf of myself and the rest of the club, we just wanted to say thank you for all you've done for Rugby League and promoting our game. We wish you all the best for the future. Cheers.
I recall, from a long time ago when you were a fearsome young reporter, not frightened to question Super League coaches about the difficult questions, and then from that we became colleagues working on the Super League show and on the BBC coverage of the Challenge Cup, and from there grew a great friendship.
To get to the top in this sport, you have to be fast.
Straight to Leeds, because Tanya Arnold is there, hoping to set Sir Kevin Sinfield off on the final mile of his epic journey. Morning, Tanya.
Good morning, yeah. Kevin is sort of hobbling to the final start point. Kevin,
Hi, Tanya. Just want to wish you all the very best. You've been absolutely brilliant to work with over the years. I know how much you love your rugby league. It's been a pleasure. Good luck with everything, and I'm sure still see you around. Take care.
Must be tough on your wife though, and the kids, and that side of it.
That's the emotional side. I suppose you have your good days, your bad days, but yeah.
Good luck, Tanya. You have always been an amazing sports reporter, and especially rugby league. Most importantly, you have always been so lovely to me. I began my MND journey through you with my first interview, and I will never forget that. Thanks for everything you have done for me throughout my career.
Well, if you're wondering what that cheer is, the Samoan team have just come out to start their warm-up. The Australians...
You're a good lass, and good luck.
Thank you for everything, Tanya.
Good luck with the future, and I hope you have a fantastic day today.
But from the women, from all of us, the Gillaroos reign supreme. Goodbye. I was always so relieved I nailed that ending on the World Cup. I don't really know what to say to that.
What do you make of that? 30 years crammed into 3 minutes. Gosh, I mean, so much that you've covered over the years. What have been the highlights for you?
There are too many. I mean, one of the real privileges of this job is, and I think with regional and local television that you don't get at a national level, is you get to watch, well, you've just watched me grow up, which is a bit embarrassing, but you get to know athletes much closer than you do at national level. To have done Jack Law's first interview, to have done Nicola Adams, we knew her well before she was in the Olympics, to then watch them win gold medals and things like that has just been absolutely incredible. But I think the biggest privilege, and you know it, Paul knows it, and Harry taught me it, was to be allowed into people's living rooms, this time of the evening when they're having their tea or whatever. That's probably the greatest privilege of the job.
I know one of the big things which you've mentioned, the Rugby League World Cup, which you presented coverage alongside former Leeds Rhinos and England player Danica Preem, who you've become really good friends with. Danica is here this evening. Come join us.
I could go off you.
Hello. With something
my word,
really tasty. We've got to say a very quick thank you to Laura May from Allsop. I know that she's watching with her family. You've done a great...
Thank you.
You've done a great job there. Thank you so much. From Philston, sorry. Thank you for that, Laura.
I'm going to have words with her. We've shared a car for a long time in there. She's going to get a bit of a telling off.
I know you've become really good friends, haven't you, Danica? What has Tanya done for Rugby League, and in particular the women's game?
Oh, it's so huge, and I can't really put into words what Tanya's done, not only for the game, but for the women's game, to promote it, to push it, to fight for us to have a platform, and for me personally, giving me a new platform to stand on and to show my love for the sport as well. And it's going to continue. She's really set the ball rolling for not just the girls, but women in sport generally, I think, now, and particularly in Yorkshire. So thank you very much, and maybe one time I'll be doing Tanya's job thanks to you.
Well, listen, for the very last time, you'll be working with Paul. We've run out of time.
That one married me off live on air once.
Valley Parade, live on air. I called Tanya Tanner before she'd even got married.
And I never changed my name to Tanya Tanner for very obvious reasons.
Jeffrey Richmond loved that one. But I mean, we've worked together for 25 years. I mean, it's I can't believe you're going. I'll miss all the Bradford City small talk. Anyway, let's get on with the weather because we've not got much time. The headline for the next 24 hours is a bright and breezy one, and it looks as though we will see 1 or 2 showers towards the coast. Let's have a look at the Atlantic weather chart because high pressure is never going to be far away over the next few days, so it means predominantly dry, variable cloud. There will be some sunshine at times, and any weather fronts like that one on Saturday will be weak, just bringing a little bit of drizzle perhaps over the hills for a time. Now, this bright band of cloud was a cold front that brought some rain for a time this afternoon, but it's now well out of the way, so skies continue to clear. It looks as though most of us will be fine overnight, just a chance of 1 or 2 showers towards the coast. I think inland will be a widespread frost. Just watch out for 1 or 2 icy patches, temperatures coming in at around about 0 to -2 across the Pennines. So tomorrow's high water times in Filey at 7:42, Bridlington at 7:51. So it's a bright day with some sunshine tomorrow. Most of us will be dry. There's just an indication of 1 or 2 showers coming in from the North Sea, more especially for areas towards the coast. As I say, most of us will be fine. A moderate northerly breeze, temperatures close to average for late January. We're looking at highs of 7 or 8 Celsius. 8 Celsius is 46 Fahrenheit. Friday looks a reasonable day, actually dry with some sunshine. Cloudy at times over the weekend, but it should be predominantly dry. And then next week looks fairly mild and again, mostly fine is the main thrust of the forecast. That's the forecast.
Oh, she's going to miss those forecasts. Tanya, very quickly, our viewers will want to know what's next for you.
I don't know. I'm going freelance. I haven't got a new shiny job to go to. I will still be part of the BBC's Rugby League coverage, so I'm not. This one's still going to have to put up with me. You can't have that job just yet. You can have this one if you want it, but not that one. So I'm available for hire. Basically,
I'm sure we'll see you back at the BBC.
I just wanted something new, something different, but this has been a blast.
Our viewers are going to miss you. We're really going to miss you. For the very last time, Tanya, good night.
Good night.